My mom lives in.
Get started. Welcome. As always, let's start with bucket fill, something good that's happening. Wins for the week. Who wants to start?
I'm going to the cabin.
And you were really excited about it.
Yeah, that's my
Good.
meeting today at 4:30.
Awesome.
What do you think I'm gonna say?
I don't know, Heather, what are you gonna say? You coming home?
Taylor, Jacob's twin brother, is coming from Okinawa with his wife for a month tomorrow.
I forgot it was a whole month.
Almost a month, just short of a month.
Are you excited, Jacob?
Yes, I'm really excited.
Three
3.5 years.
3.5 years.
You live in
How long?
3.5 years?
Yeah.
Wow. That's not.
Where are they from? Or where are they?
He's stationed in Okinawa.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
Gotcha.
so no, like literally nothing for 3 years. So yeah, he leaves and COVID hit.
Yeah, he's
Oh,
twins.
right.
Yeah,
So is
they're
it-
twins.
Is his hair drawn out yet?
Actually, funny enough, senior year of high school, he cut his hair super short.
I'm looking
I didn't realize.
forward to him, like being next to you, because they're gonna come in at some point, right?
Yeah, they'll come in and.
I'm like, to see them like next to each other. That's super fun. All right, what else? What else we got good going on?
I did an open house yesterday, and right after the open house, I got a listing appointment and I showed them a house.
From the open. Okay, so I think that's huge, because I was just talking to another agent, the other day, and they're like, I just don't get anything from open houses. So I might just send them your way so that they can figure out how that happens. So super cool. I really feel like
Weekday
open
open
events
houses don't work though, do they?
are just a waste of time.
Don't
You know?
Right.
I'll do them for you.
Yeah. Great, what else? What else?
So I have bucket fill Derek, Shane and Kent. Derek and Shane encouraged me this last couple weeks just for like ongoing and being consistent. And then on Monday, Kent was helping me find a rental for a client. So I just like didn't really know like how public he needed like won't have a car, so I've never used public transit before. I was like, this is like a different language.
Yeah.
To me.
Yeah.
So, like, how do I know that the bus is gonna go by his office? Like,
And you come to my office and I'm like, I don't know,
yeah,
look at Google Maps. There's a transit button.
there was, and I was like, oh gosh, I feel like an idiot. I didn't even like transit.
No, that's just because my go-to is always Google. Like,
But yeah, no, he was just helping me like figure out just like places close by to his office, and it was really good.
awesome. Awesome. What else is good?
I want to bucket fill Derek.
Okay, today's your day.
Taylor Swift right now.
That actually just made my day. Feel like, you know.
He sent me some information that I had inquired about, and it was very helpful, and I just appreciate how helpful you always are and willing to do whatever it takes or to help.
Awesome. Awesome. What else? What else we got that's good? Anybody from Zoom want to share? No? Okay, cool. That's
Sorry, I just needed to unmute.
oh, Kevin. Hi, Kevin.
Hey, last week I was needed to be gone for a family thing, and I sent a text to the ALC just, hey, I'm going to miss the meeting. Instead of about a meeting, it was about, hey, we'll cover for anything that you need. And so I appreciate that. I'm really glad to be in this market center and the people that make part of it. And Alex Randall ended up doing some showings for me. And my clients just loved working with him. And they said he reminds them of a golden retriever. It was very, very nice.
Yeah.
Today are amazing.
I know.
Like Taylor Swift, Alex is a golden retriever. All right, awesome. Anybody else? All right. remember, the training calendar is super easy to use. So, I think Lydia sent it out last week, we sent it out a few times. But just go click on whatever class that you want, and it'll shoot you right to the Eventbrite. So if you're like, where do I sign up? Which is a common question. Where do I sign up? You click this and that's where you sign up for everything now. The only thing that you didn't is what Lydia sent out yesterday, because that was a Google form, but that's because it was a regional event. Otherwise, anything through our market center is going to be on this calendar for you to be able to have easy access to. Do we have any questions regarding that?
Where did that come from? How did you-
Lydia sent that, so
Okay.
she actually, was
Hey,
it
when,
her Candy that made it?
Lydia made it.
Lydia made it, yeah.
Does it include the trainings for all 5 market centers?
It does include the training for all 5 market centers and the trainings that are here, which there's a lot of CEs that are happening right now, including the class that we sent out yesterday, which is Agents of Distinction.
Oh,
Did
we're
we all
coming
get
up to
that email?
Want me to get to that?
Yeah, I just want to point it out at this point, or at that part. Oh, go back. Oh, well, just not that
Want me to get to Julia's?
one. Yeah, let's do that really quick.
That's full.
It is full. I just tried to put another ticket on and it's full.
So actually what I would like, I'm gonna get a sheet of paper for you to sign up if you have not signed up yet, because what we're doing is we're trying to find another venue so that we can get more people in there, because that's a regional event. Again, it's $50, but it's for 4 CE credits. And essentially it was gonna be here, but we are at max capacity currently. So either we try to figure out how else to get more people in here, or we're gonna get a different place to go to.
So, first of all, I think I registered twice as
You
Rick
did.
and Richard. Okay, so there might be a ticket available. And then also if it's not here, I can't do it because I have a closing here, so that'll make a ticket available. So,
Okay, I don't know the details on that because I got the registration last night. The positive thing is everybody that did respond to that email yesterday, nobody else in the Butler group got to sign up except for us, because I sent out a gazillion texts and messages. And so if I was annoying and Lydia was annoying and Heather was annoying, I just wanted you guys to get a spot because I knew that was going to happen. So if we could just grab a piece of paper if you are still interested, and if it does open, we'll just let you know that we'll end up registering you that way, if that's okay. Sound good? So if you try to register, yes, the link is closed.
I'll get that paper in a second.
Okay, this is exciting. So we are reintroducing Tutor of the Day. So that has not happened, I think, way before I was even the TL in this
Been a
in this
while.
market center. Essentially what this is going to do, we have Monday through Sunday. These are all of the tutors of the day. It's going to be a call, text, email, and it's really about 4 things. So this is not like, hey, can you write this purchase agreement for me, right? That's not what the tutor of the day is. It's a resource for us if we have a question that's not broker related. So contracts, negotiations, listing price, or even some scripting questions, right? So at any point in time, on Monday, you'll call Scott Nagel, on Tuesday, Derek, Wednesday, Jelena, Thursday, Angie, Ben on Friday, Saturday is Rick, and Sunday is Kevin. Do you guys have any questions about that? Yes, Rick.
I'd like to add 2 things. First, can we coin Tuesday Taylor Tuesdays?
We can definitely.
Taylor
point-
Tuesdays.
All right, and on a more serious note, the agents that we've helped over the years, the one thing that we said to the agents that we try to help over the years is that in real estate, there's always like a pivotal hour. And if you've sold any real estate, you know that post-inspection, when all of a sudden your client's freaking out because the inspector wasn't alarmist, so you don't know what to do, that could make or break the transaction entirely. Negotiating on the behalf of your buyer in a multiple offer scenario after you've written the offer, and talking about what else you can do, that could make or break whether your client gets that over the 7 other ones. So this is like the key here is that don't let those hours go by without reaching out to one of these agents, because it can absolutely change the transaction. And it's whether you're getting a listing, whether you're writing an offer, whether you're right in the middle of selling a listing, inspection, appraisal comes in low, all of those pivotal moments really can make or break the transaction. So their agents are there for a reason, especially Derek.
Well,
So
and this
reach
is
out.
really helpful too. When you're like, I have a question, that I call, right? Because that happens a lot. Now you have, okay, Monday, this is this person, Tuesday, it's this person, Wednesday, and just put that into your phone. And that does not mean that you can't call anybody else on those days either. It's a great go-to resource that's available that day. Yeah, we got questions.
I was just wondering if this could get emailed along with their
With their
contact
numbers.
info, just because I think there might be a few people that don't have that
Yep.
contact information.
Yep, and I know Lydia also had put it on our Facebook page as well, so it'll say like today. Jelena's like information is up there as well, so always be able to check that too.
Yep, every day at 9 a.m. it'll get posted who's the tutor of the day in the group.
Yeah, thank you.
Other question, Jim?
And if you can't get a hold of Taylor over there or anybody else on that list, you know, I'm always available and I do answer my phone. So,
Awesome.
I'm always back up for everybody.
Anybody else have questions?
Excited to have that back. It's a nice help.
I think it's gonna be great. Okay, next. All right, so
Oh, yeah.
lead agent exclusive training, what is that? Oh, for agent leading team. So that's gonna be March 30th. This was one that I believe Jake gave personal invites to a lot of you who are leading teams currently that will be going to this event. This is something, if you did not have a personal invite, I believe it's something that you can still go to. Feel free to register for it, but it's really for teams and lead agents or agents that want to lead teams, right? So you might be at that cusp where you're like, do I want to lead a team or do I not? It's a good option for that as well. All right, we went over agent of distinction. Okay. Is she in here? She is. All right, so we had our first listing for Emily. So this is normally not our numbers meeting, but our month was kind of jumbled around. So we have like a shortened meeting for that. So congratulations. Multiple?
Yeah, I had 2 in 1 week.
And Derek wasn't even here.
Yeah, Derek was in Florida.
Yeah. I just wanted to make sure. Okay.
Yeah.
Taylor was in Florida on tour. Awesome, super awesome. All right, and then we've got 6 members. So we've got Rick Bateson, we've got Jordan, Lowell. I thought, oh, over here. Do you want to come up and you guys can grab your camera? That means that they have now capped and get 100% of their commission. So they all capped in. What's the cap? So the cap is 13,000, and then 3,000 to international. So it's usually about 2.1 in sales volume, and then you get 100% of your commission.
So it changed last year and for the previous 20 years, it was 22.5.
Okay.
So it went way down just for.
Way down.
So congratulations, 100%.
Now you want to do Jacob? Yes.
100%.
Jacob. Okay, so before we talk about listings, Jacob wanted to, well, one, he showed me this yesterday and it's amazing. In Command, so I know that we all have like different questions on Command and have requested like long classes. And every now and then Jacob will be like, look at this new feature. And I think it's important in these meetings for him to show you them. And even if you want to record this so that you don't forget, because I think a lot of times people are like, oh, I know how to do that. And then they're like, where do I go? I'll let him take over on kind of what this piece is.
I'm teaching from back here right now, so just so y'all know where I'm at. All this is there's a new feature in Designs where you can automatically create marketing with information from a listing, and it pulls all that information for you, and it's really, really, really easy. So that's all I'm trying to show off. It's just like creating any other design. You can do it for social media posts and for like print things. You can do it for social media posts and for like things you're going to print as well, whether it's brochures or highlight sheets. All you'll do is go in like you're creating a normal piece of marketing, and then you can use any of the pieces that have a little auto button on it, which I'll show you once this loads in just a second.
But can I also remind you, didn't mean to interrupt you,
You're good.
if you don't have a listing, we have agents here that have listings. Okay, and if the listing is, if this marketing is gonna help them sell their listings, they're gonna want you to do it. So all you have to do is you have to, text, email, call, go to their office and ask an agent, hey, is it okay if I just borrow your listing photo or whatever it is? And if there's a reason that they don't, that's okay too, but most agents, I think, would be like, absolutely, go market my listing. Jacob's nodding his head, he's like, deserves to be all for that. So again, don't let this mean like, oh, I don't have a listing, I can't do this. That's not true. You still can.
Okay, so all it is you can see this little auto create tab. Once you go into designs, it starts you right here. All of these ones here under auto create are options for you. And when you'll hover over it, you'll hit this auto button on the upper right. Don't hit use, hit auto. And then it pulls you into a little search form. So you can search for your listing. You can search by listing address, MLS number, all that stuff. So I'm going to search for one of ours that we just got under contract. Was it Dayton River? It was. Okay, I thought so. So you can see our listing shows up right here, Dayton River Road. Once you select it, you'll hit continue. It automatically pulls in the full address, all the other information here. These little home details fields, you can just put in little tidbits, basically a sentence long of like, we love how much, we love how much light comes into the living room, things like that.
This part, like clean
Yeah.
lines, modern, like that's where you can add those things.
And you can see it goes in right there. You'll hit add images and just select 3 different pictures of the home, however many you want. Hit continue. It shows all your information right here. You can edit this if you like. Hit generate design and it automatically puts all those pictures and all that information for you and you don't even have to touch it. So yeah, you'll see a little blank space here, which is where all those like tidbits go right here. But you can see like my photo, all my contact information, the pictures, the price, everything is all automatically imported. So you can make marketing in like 5 minutes.
That's really nice.
Can we convert that to a mailing and send it to the neighborhood?
Yeah, you can just download it as any sort of image. So you can totally do that. And if it's for a
And you can do
postcard,
social-
yes.
Social media too.
Yeah, like if you change it to a postcard and you do that, then can we get the addresses through command as well of the neighborhood?
Yes, actually you can. Let me see if there are any ones. I know what you're talking about because you can through campaigns, there's a feature where you can send, this is a whole thing, so you can't go over this today, but there's a feature in campaigns where you can send postcards into locations around an address and it just pulls all the residential addresses and it sends it for you. And it's just like a bulk feature. Command is partnered with, I don't know the name of the company, but a company to print and send those for you. And you like, it charges your card through command in campaigns.
Who knew that these things existed, right? Because we do get a lot of questions that are like, oh, where do I get marketing material? How can I make marketing material? That literally took what, 2 minutes to
Yeah.
make that marketing piece? And I know some people are gonna be like, yeah, but that's not, do I have to style it? I guarantee if you think that far of like you styling something different to you, it's never gonna get done. Like, it's just not gonna get done, right? So I'm like, this looks clean, nice. You're gonna do an open house, you can do the same thing. You can put the open house time and you can go door knock with it. You can do a social post. It's really, you don't have to recreate the wheel on this at all.
Yeah, and this is just, while you were talking, I did it. That's how fast it was. This is the same thing, but a social media post. So that's all I was showing off. So you can just download this, post it onto Facebook or Instagram, things like that. So super easy and super quick. I know a lot of times, especially for solo agents, there's a million thousand things to do. So this makes that way easier and just makes it quick. So you don't have to spend so much time on it. You can get back to selling houses. But yeah, that's everything I had. Any other questions about it or?
Any questions on that piece?
Nice job, Jake.
Thank you.
Yes, I just have a week ago and I was like, I know about it. No, that's huge.
Thanks, Jacob. There you go.
Okay, so the second half of this, again, is going to be us discussing the market right now. So we are coming to the end of Q1, right? Again, as I'm just kind of looking at where we are at as an office, where we're at as a market, everything has shifted a lot, right? What I'm hearing people say, what I'm seeing on social media is, I'm really busy. We lost out on multiples again. I mean, there's a lot of conversation in January, right? There was a lot of people saying, I have no pipeline, or I feel like nobody's looking. So within a 3-month period of time, I feel like we went from one vibe for the market to another. So I want to have a discussion on that, what's changed and how we can capitalize on that, because how many people are on pace for their goal this year, right now, in Q1? 1, 2, okay? And that's not, I mean, it's common right now that a lot of people are not, right? So you're not alone on that piece. What are we seeing in the market right now in regards to listings and buyers?
Your home's available.
Your home's available, okay? What else?
We are seeing a good increase of new homes on the market if you track the last 7 days. You know,
Like new inventory?
yeah, like 3 weeks ago it was around 800 and yesterday it was like 1150. You know, and each week it's going up by 100 or more listings. I can look right now.
Okay. Okay, what else?
There's still not enough.
Yep.
I mean, nowhere near.
What else are we seeing?
There's still multiple offers.
Yeah.
Right? Multiples are coming back.
In two different ways. If it's a great listing priced right, it's gonna be right off the bat, and then it's like 15 days on market, all of a sudden you're in multiples again, which is frustrating.
Okay, so priced right or high days on market are driving multiples. Okay,
Is that aligned with the price reduction then, Jelena? Is that
So
what you're seeing?
I'm waiting for a response right now. It's been on the market for 15 days. It's clearly overpriced. We put an offer in yesterday and all of a sudden we have 2 more offers on the property today, and it's, there was no price reduction.
There was no price
It's just-
reduction.
Yeah, it's just sitting in that, you know.
Herd mentality.
People think that they can get a deal.
back in the day when I used to sell real estate, it was sitting in the weeds. All right, what else?
I feel like this kind of goes with like the multiple things though, again, like going to tour homes with clients lately, there's been like a lot of people there, like especially like on the first day, it felt like my first year in real estate again, when there was like.
Okay, so
one-
showings are increasing. Okay,
I don't think there's a price range differentiation in the amount of activity that we're seeing on listings. So luxury listings are selling the same, not multiple offers, but they're selling fast. So there's pressure on that market too.
okay. What else? So buyers are looking again. Is this, did we forget about interest rates with buyers? Like, talk to me about that.
But we're gonna know in a few hours what the feds do, and it's
I mean,
high.
I'm not saying like, I'm talking January to right now, right? So if there's multiples, I mean, January when the interest rates were different, everyone was like, ooh, halt, right? So are the conversations different with buyers right now?
Yeah.
Yes?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, the rates are good right now. I mean, you're at 5.75 if you're working with a decent lender on a
What did you
30-year
just say?
fixed. Rates are good right now.
okay, what were we at in January?
6.757, somewhere in there,
Okay, what were we at in like September and July?
7.25.
September weird.
Because the reason I'm asking this is you said rates are good right now, right? But when it hiked from 4 to 5, everyone was like, right? And so it's perspective, right? So now all of a sudden 5 whatever is good. That was not good 6 months ago.
Right.
How can that perspective change in the mindset of a buyer or seller that quickly? Right? It's media and it's education. Because it's the same value. Like that price is the same value and nothing has really changed on home prices. Am I correct on that? In fact, if anything, it's maybe hovering higher a little bit. So let me ask you why the conversation is different now.
We need to be, the conversation is different because right now we can say, looking at what happened over the past year, let's not look at a couple months at a time. Let's look at the bigger picture. Because the bigger picture is the 40-year average interest rate is 8.15%. So when you tell them it's 5.75 today, you don't have to tell them it's good. The average is 8%. So, I mean, it's just, but if they look at, oh, well, last January, if you look at one month of February, March, April, until April when it started to shift, they were at 3.25. Okay, That, you know, so that was an extraordinary time back then, but we're not looking at that small time period anymore. Let's look at the big picture and let's look at whether or not this is a good time. And I mean, we just answered it.
So I think that there's a really important piece on that, right? What were we all doing when the interest rates spiked? I want true honesty and vulnerability here. We all were like, don't record this. Shit, right? Like, there goes the market. That's what agents were like, buyers aren't gonna buy. Now I'm panicked. What is happening with, I mean, that was kind of also on us, right? Like, the conversations were like, how are we gonna talk these people into buying? I mean, if we went back in our meetings, that's literally what our meeting was about.
I was educating what other lender products have, like the
Yep.
2-1 buy downs, 2-1 buy downs, other ways to get affordable monthly payments.
It really goes back
And they're still
to
doing that.
long-term, right? I shouldn't say nobody. There are people that buy short-term, right? Most people are purchasing for a long-term period of time, right? Our job is to educate them on what that is and like what the goal of that is, right? Most people are not like, hey, I want to make money on my personal residence. They can, we can teach them how to do that, but really it's monthly payment or it's over time, correct? So would you agree that that conversation has changed also because of what conversations we're having as agents?
Well, I think it's different too. They've seen 7%. Now 5% feels different.
Yeah.
Because that they've seen 7 and they're afraid it's gonna go back up again. So quick, let's get into something.
And isn't the question, should we wait? The question is often, should we wait? We want to wait until next year in case the interest rates go down. What is one thing we know to be true? Are prices of houses going down?
No.
Well,
Although
there's-
NAR today came out, their email I got was nationally, prices went down. But it's like saying nationally, the average temperature today is 55
But you know,
degrees.
the president of NAR yesterday on NPR said that this last month and the month prior, the contracts written were significantly higher than last year's these 2 months. So they're thinking that, well, there's a bunch coming here. You know, so I think we sit back and wait. Obviously, we know in our market, which is most important. I mean, unless you're selling in Wisconsin, in our market right now, prices are going up. Well,
And she's writing an offer.
we're not licensed there. All right, South Dakota, sorry. Where else?
So, I mean, getting back to that part, it's perception, right? And the conversation has changed because you're looking at a long period of time. What else? Why, who's controlling that? Who's controlling the decision-making of these buyers and sellers? Like, truly, who's controlling that? Media? Do you think that the spike in interest rates just happens? Like, who's controlling the market?
The powers that be.
Which is, right? So, I mean, I think that's an honest conversation though about economics, right? It's like when people are buying houses, that's a real, so we spike up to 7 and now we're at 5. Like, what's the next spike? And they're like, well, I'm gonna wait. What are you waiting for? How do you know it's gonna happen? Did anyone think that COVID was gonna happen? No.
Or the war in Ukraine.
Right? Like, nobody knows on that piece. And I think we think of it as such a small, this is the decision of buying a home when there's so much more into it, right? And we have to just educate them on why it's happening and what's happening. So Rick, what are you gonna say when you're like, later today, we'll find out? How are you gonna educate after we find out what's happening?
Well, I mean, if the interest rates go up, they likely won't go up very much, right?
Okay,
There's
yep.
just gonna be a little tiny bit of an adjustment. I actually think that they're probably gonna go either stay the same or go down a little bit, which is what's predicted. And if that happens, then you just build the excitement a little bit. I mean, we're moving in the right direction. And again, we know what this is real estate all the time. We know what the market is right now. We know what the conditions are right now. And your perspective, you need to decide whether your perspective is positive or negative. And it's not like we're spinning something that's false. We're not. It's just using the information to help our clients understand that this is really it's a really good time to buy. The difficulty with right now is there's no houses on the market. But what did we just say? More houses are coming on the market every week. So,
I'm gonna challenge you on that.
Okay.
So right now is a really good time to buy, in whose opinion?
realtors,
Say that it's because I see it a lot, like now's a good time to sell, now's a good time to buy. Why?
well, now is an
Because
extraordinarily,
we play both sides.
let's be clear. Now is an extraordinarily fantastic, amazing, and great time to sell. Now is a good time to buy. Because buying right now with an interest rate at 5.75 when the average over 40 years is 8. And we know we're at the beginning of the spring market. And once you get further into the spring market, obviously prices have a tendency to go up. And we also know that next year prices will be higher. So you get to decide, do you agree that now would be a good time to buy? The challenge we're going to run into is there's not going to be a lot for you to look at. So we're going to have to work harder.
So what if we shifted our mindset when we're marketing for this, right? Like the question being, is like the question of any consumer is now a good time to buy, or is now a good time to sell? What do we say?
What are your goals?
Do you need a
Bingo.
house?
Right? None of the other things matter, because what does actually make people move? Let's talk about that. What makes people move?
Life events.
Life events, lifestyle. I heard emotions,
Job loss, job transfer, job change.
job change,
Divorce.
No life events.
Oh.
divorce.
We're just breaking down.
Clean is like, okay, I'm two for the day, and guess what? We just wrap this up.
Maybe they're just mentally ready. That's, I don't think that's life event. Maybe they're just like, they're just ready, you know?
Okay,
And comfortable enough to make the next.
What was that?
and that could be location wise, that could be size wise. So,
Maybe they feel they saved enough money for a down payment.
okay. Maybe there's a gift of money,
Yeah, gift
right?
of money.
How about
It's
ignorance?
education, like the kids are ready to go to school and they want to be in a different school district than what they are. Ignorance? What?
That's what Derek said. Taylor.
Well,
Taylor's just shooting it straight today, okay?
Because like ignorance is stupid, right? Like it's because they don't have specific knowledge. If they just take the information that they get from the Today Show, you know, or wherever, they're hearing what they hear where they don't understand the reality. They don't understand what the interest rate actually means for their monthly payment or what the housing prices are doing. So they just don't know. They just assume that what they've always done or what they've heard is the right thing.
Okay, so what I'm gonna ask is, no one said interest rate. Right? No one said that anyone made the move, sold their house or bought a house because of interest rate. Why? Because if I asked you guys right now, most of you wouldn't know your exact interest rate on your mortgage. It matters for about 30 days to all of you. Who knows their interest rate? Exact interest rate? Okay, well, maybe you. So you ask your clients, they're not gonna know their interest rate,
Beavers.
right? Am I wrong on that?
At closing.
They don't know their exact interest rate,
Right.
right? So that's like, they're focusing on something because it actually goes back to the media. Right? Like, the media was saying what about the industry, like, in the last 2 weeks? Multiples were not really in there until recent, right? So then they're like 90 days later, 30 days later, they're gonna be like, there's multiple offers. Right? Like they're feeding it so much later and they're only getting a tidbit of information.
I even feel like it's even more of a like
Yeah.
formal, like.
So the whole point of this, and we're talking about listings, right, is how are we getting listings right now with this information and this information? How are we putting these things together?
You mean?
Like, how are we putting the fact that, okay, inventory is going up, but there's actually fewer homes on the market, but there's multiple, so there's a demand, right? Showings are going up, so your house is sell in a short amount of time again. Days on market aren't as long, and all listings are still selling and buyers are out there, right? And then there's these things that are actually making people move.
Angie just got one from an open house.
Focus on their dream and get them really excited about what's next and what could be.
How do we do that with lead gen? How are we doing it right now?
Yeah.
Okay,
Other dreams and aspirations. Questions.
okay. Getting in relationship with people, right? Asking questions on their life. Okay, Maureen.
I'm not saying I'm doing this.
And this is more like a brainstorm, like how can we do this? Even if you're not doing it, like listings are down, how can we get more? There are still people that are getting job changes, getting divorced, feeling uncomfortable, saving money, life events. That's still happening no matter if the interest rate was 12. That's still happening, right? How do we get into relationship with those people to create a listing?
So I was recognizing the other day that my oldest is getting ready to graduate high school, and I was making a list of people who I know where their kids also graduating high school, but it's their youngest kid. So they're getting ready to be empty nesters, and the market is good to sell right now, and they're getting ready. I mean, they're going to be paying for college, and they could make a decent amount on their house. So I thought, how can I reach that sphere where, hey, my kid's graduating also. Congratulations on your kid graduating. Oh, hey, now you're going to have this big, beautiful house. There's only 2 of you in it. I've been trying to rack my brain, trying to figure out how to reach that group because I really know a lot of that group from my son graduating.
Okay, I like that. Scott.
It's like when I meet an older couple or an older individual who's in a house, I just say, hey, if you're talking about health and things like that, I just leverage it into, might you want to have someone walk through and help make your house more accessible so you can stay longer in your home? Because as you get older, they're running into hiccups that their house just doesn't work well for them. So I offered to talk to them about how to keep them longer in their house. Well, then as you're doing that, they may decide, I guess it is time to move. And now you've got a conversation about moving. And you can say, you're going to do this long term. Your house needs repair anyway. So this is a way of just being, fishing upstream.
Or who do you get in contact immediately, right? Mom and dad call kid. Oh yeah, this real estate agent was over the other day and said that who's the real estate agent? Right? Like the kid, the child, the couple is like, who is this person? Right? Because immediately they're trying to just make you sell your house. Well, now you have an opportunity to get in a relationship with the kids of that couple. Like it's not even just the couple. Awesome. What else?
And to that point, I have friends who said, my neighbor is gonna need to move. She's aging out of her house. And the conversation I've been having with those people, because that's a lot of my friends are in that stage, what's their goal? Are they just sick of it and they want out from under all the maintenance of this house? Or do they love their house and they don't want to leave? So let's help them figure out how to stay there longer. Or do they actually need financially to get out from under it and into like a care facility? And those are discovery questions. So you can come honestly with their best interest in mind. And that's not as scary for the kid.
Yeah.
If they see you coming from that perspective.
I like that. How else? How else can we get listings? Seriously?
We're going to open houses. Like, oh, Angie.
Yeah, open house is on
Oh,
here.
got it.
So we get web leads,
Buyer needs.
buyer needs. How do you utilize that?
Either mailers or door knock them.
Okay.
Social media.
Well, Facebook lead ads from demand.
Capitalizing on current listing sales. Chelsea and I had a conversation yesterday about what do you do with a listing to try to get other listings. The first thing you do is invite all the neighbors to the first open house in advance of the open. That's something we've talked about before.
So door knocking?
Yeah.
Have you done-
Um,
Really?
Yeah, flyers.
7-level open house, which we can provide to all of you.
But more importantly, though, is canvassing the neighborhood with whether you make the phone call, do the door knock, or send the flyer as soon as you've sold the house.
I've talked about this before. Who sends a text message when you have an open house to the neighbors? Going to.
That's a good idea.
This, it came up in an open house panel, is the most genius thing I think I've ever heard for an open house. Do you know how many open houses I've had around my home, like where I live? I've never gotten a text message, and if I did, I would go. Every neighbor is nosy about a house, every neighbor. Right? Like how many of them, when they know that it's going on, they come in, they're like, oh, I'm just looking.
Yeah.
Right? But if you got a text message that said, hey, your neighbor's house, we're gonna have an open, and if it's a private open, you could even just text them about the private open part, right? So noon to 1, this is just for the neighbors, 1 to, 2:30 is not, that's public. But you guys, I think we're missing the boat if we're not doing this. And even another level for open houses.
Think about what happens next. Think about now, they meet Amy at the open house, they get a little introduction there. Then she sells the house in multiple offers that weekend, because that's highly probable that's gonna happen. And they get then a postcard that says, hey, we had 14 offers and sold it for well over list price in 2 days, and see the sold sign up. I mean,
Well, what
it
if
just
you
doesn't
become
get
even
any
more
better.
relational than that, right? So now you know who showed up, because somehow they signed in, right? So now they signed in. If you want to talk about how to start a farm, right? Even if that's not your area. So now they signed in, so you know who they are. What would it look like if you sent them a handwritten thank you? Or then you also follow up with a text message saying, thanks for coming. Right? So
you
now
have to capture their cell number.
you already have it, because this
That's what I'm
was,
just saying, you
yeah.
have to capture that.
Yep.
And remember what Bethany's team, what Jacob took from Bethany's team was that, would you like information if there are any off-market properties?
Yep.
And that's how she was able to, they were really easy to capture the information from that.
I mean, now you're in relationship, right? Like, you can go with this whichever way you want to. I don't know, text message thing, I think, is something that is gonna be huge. Okay, what else? Current listings. Anything else that we're getting listings from? Guys, expireds? Anyone calling expireds? Nobody's calling expireds. Literally nobody. So who is? Right? Like that used to be a thing. People are not thinking that there's expireds now and that there's canceled, because we haven't had them for a really long time. But that's an opportunity, right? Is expires and cancels because no one else is doing it. Okay, what else?
Just spending time in your database.
Okay,
I get too focused on new leads. A lot of people that have been doing this for 5 or 6 years, like those first people might be turning over.
Yeah.
Have I stayed in touch with them well enough? Probably not. So just touching base with people I haven't connected.
how are you touching base with them?
Probably, I don't know. It's a good question. Text message, probably, maybe posting an event. I get Twins tickets, concert tickets, do raffles, things like that.
I mean, because previously, like, when the tax records come back out and your new taxes for the year, right? A lot of people are like, oh, my house isn't worth that, or their taxes go up. That's a great opportunity to be like, hey, I'm just curious. Like, did your taxes go up this year, and do you think it's the right valuation of your home? Right? I mean, there's things that we can add value to where they're living right now. That it doesn't have to be like, are you gonna buy or sell? And sometimes that leads to, right? Like, man, if it is worth that, maybe I would sell. We've been thinking about it for a while.
Dana used to call every year, her team, with spring cleaning. What resources do you need? Do you need a chimney sweep? Do you need a junk hauler? Do you need landscapers? So there were
Great
those
idea.
calls. And that was a come from value call every year. But I've been thinking a lot about this. I mean, we're a very relationally driven business, but Jordan from Bethany's team has a withheld listing I've been talking to him about. I have a match for it. And I looked at it online. It was sold, I think, the people he's representing now, the owners.
Yep.
Bought it in 2019. Their agent was from Engel and Volkers. And they're selling now with Jordan. I'm thinking about that, thinking this is a, lesson to you, Wendy, that if you are not constantly staying in connection and providing value and information, that somebody else in 3 years could be listing the house you just sold somebody.
So what if you did that for your whole neighborhood of like who bought in the last 4 or 5 years, right? Like, I mean, that's usually people are turning over in that amount of time. And you were just like, hey, you bought pre-COVID, right? Are you ever interested in what your house is worth? That's not, I mean, it's a cold call, but not really, right? Like you could actually say, hey, I know that you purchased and you guys know how to find that, right? On MLS.
Again,
Like looking for people that bought pre-COVID, like, so if they bought between a certain time period, that the potential of them essentially selling.
I'm not sure I know how to do that.
Okay, Maureen, we can talk about that.
Question. So I know we talked today in accountability group about how you don't give an exact price because you could lose the listing, right? How do you not turn people off by saying, hey, are you ever interested in what your house is worth? And what if you give them a number they're not happy with? And they're like, well, I know when I'm ready to sell. Like my neighbor next door calls me his real estate agent all the time, but he's saying he wants to sell his house for $950. House isn't worth $950. And I know that. And I know that that's the number he's got in mind. And if I ever said, oh, hey, are you ever interested in what your house is worth? Because it's worth $800. He'd be like, I'm not using you when the time comes.
Why don't you just change the script instead of saying what the house is worth? And at the end of the day, what they're really interested in, how much money am I gonna pull out of my house? And so what if you said, you have some great equity you can pull out, let's look at that number and focus it on that.
I agree, and don't ever do your job partway or halfway, ever. So don't tell him that his house is worth 800. Show him in a formal meeting, set the meeting, do the research, have the detailed market analysis with multiple phases in it, with all the information. Let him come to the intelligent conclusion that you're leading him to, but where the value of his house is. It's not you anymore. It's the actual information. So don't ever do it part way. When people are pushing you to tell you I do not tell them. I said, listen, I take my job very seriously and I really don't want to steer you in the wrong direction. It's not going to take long for me to work through an actual appointment with you. If you want it to be 30 minutes, I can do it in 30 minutes. Let's just sit down for coffee. I'm buying and let's, be real about this.
Would you do that a year in advance of somebody wanting to buy?
Absolutely. You better let them know now. I mean, you're mowing your lawn next to them all year. And you're going to sell other houses in the neighborhood. So, yeah. And will you need business next year? Just curious.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, I've always.
To that point though, too, is, and I don't think we got into that part of it. Like, if someone is willing to tell them their house is $100,000 over or $150,000 over their price point, they're not doing their job. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and again, if they want to price it at that and you say, I'll take the listing, you can price it that, but you've told them it's worth whatever, that's up to you.
I mean,
Right?
I've seen this. There's agents out there that will do it. And it amazes me sometimes.
And I think it's important to pause for a second and address just that at this office, because I just had a conversation with a high-end luxury builder yesterday who was complaining about a Sotheby's agent who does just that. Doesn't matter where you're from. There's two different ways to do this. I'm gonna list a house at 950 so that you get the exposure, so that it's in your neighborhood, so on and so forth, and it's on for a long period of time. And the hope is that eventually you reduce the price and eventually you'll sell it and it'll work out. But you're doing it for yourself so that you can get the marketing, you can get the advertising. I'm just gonna tell you, after 23 years, that will fail. That mindset will absolutely fail you, because people are gonna realize the best way to get business is by being successful selling real estate at the right price in a short period of time. And when you're doing it for yourself and you're doing it for the marketing, you're doing it for the exposure, it is eventually going to fail. So if you want to talk more
The
about that.
conversations that are had in that 90-day, 180-day listing, I guarantee every time that person's name comes up on your phone, you're like, oh, again, and then it's still your fault. Right? If you're not willing to be like, well, and at that point, like, it's a stress that it's probably not gonna ever sell in the first place, and you're probably out money anyways. If they're not willing to actually reduce it. Lost track where we were on that. Oh, you had another question though, because we only have about 7 minutes. You had a question about scripts that I would like to ask. You wanted to know how you can ask the question for a listing appointment in your sphere. What was the question that you had?
I was just curious about just, for everybody in our accountability group, just what agents are doing when they're calling their, you know, what are their lead generation scripts look like? You know, just, is it more like a care call? Is it more, I mean, obviously, if you have a lead, you've heard someone's going to sell, or you have it up on your command, that they expressed interest in selling their house in a year or whatever, you're having a different kind of conversation. But when you're just cold calling your sphere and starting off the conversation, you know, it might be somebody in your sphere that you've never talked to on the phone. What are you saying?
Here, do you want to take that? I'll be the person you're calling.
Let's preface that by saying a call to people I've either sold homes to or are friends of mine, or I have past experience with. I'm going to call them and I'm going to just get into conversation about what's new in their life, how they like their house, maybe something like that. And then I would lead with, you know, we are starved for listings in our market. Who do you know who might be thinking of either buying or selling any real estate in the next year? And that opens the door for them to respond back with, you know, I don't know anybody. However, we've had this or whatever, you know where to go from there. But I would start it more indirectly, especially with my sphere. I would start it indirectly so that they have a chance to think about somebody else. And then maybe if they say, you know what, no, I don't know of anybody else, then come back with, well, have you ever considered it? Or, you know, what do you think your timeline is for being in the house you're in?
I like that.
Any other suggestions for people that have been getting listings? Or calling?
Manny has a question. No.
Manny has-
Manny has somebody who
Wow,
wants to
shove in
sell.
front of the front.
I think you've gone on. I want to know about this.
That's,
At a dance audition a couple weeks ago, and I had a conversation with one of the moms there, and she had been saying that they'd been thinking about selling. However, she's like, we got a really good interest rate, like we refi when I was like 3 something, right? So it doesn't make sense for us to sell our house. Yes, we could get more for it right now, but we're also having to pay more. Is her belief that they needed to pay more for what they needed. It would be at a different price point than what she thinks they would sell at. In addition to having to get a higher interest rate, so she just feels like it's, in her words, throwing money away.
Why does she want to move?
I think at the time she had just been thinking about it because of space and.
I think that's where you go back into motivation,
Yeah.
right? Like, again, like, I mean, you guys can speak to this that are going on listing appointments all the time, but I think it's, you go back to what their motivation is, right? And is that more important to them than the actual objections?
Yeah.
And what would you guys?
And is that
think?
where,
A lot of the numbers are assumptions that they have in their head that they don't really know. So maybe you can say, like, focus in on that and then say, you know, let's sit down, I'll come to your house. We'll talk about some numbers to see if this makes sense for you. I'll connect you with a loan officer. If it ends up making sense, let's move forward with this, with your dream. But then they actually have the facts and figures.
I like that.
just something I thought of based off that. Out of people's experiences, how common are loan assumptions?
I've never done one ever.
someone here did the first one.
Try.
Started one.
Oh. You both,
Are there certain
you both tried?
people, are lenders open to that typically, or?
FHA loan.
VA as well.
I know VA for sure, that was one of the 9.
To another vet.
A lot of years, they're not assumable at all, so.
What we ran into was,
I mean, that's a great question though, especially I think people are gonna ask that. moving on?
The loan is assumable, but if they have now, if the home costs more now, right? They're selling it for 500,000 and they have 235 left on their mortgage. You have to come up with the difference, and that's either cash or a second mortgage or some sort of HELOC or something has to happen to make that up. And you have to be creative with how that happens. And sometimes it's a higher interest rate when then it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And it's still the thought of keeping it as an investment property, hiring a wonderful property management company and buying your next place.
So, you know, we've been talking so much about listings and I want to address some of the buyer agents here. There's a simple thing that can be done here from the buyer standpoint. Be better than every other agent out there all the time. So when you're showing a listing, I talked to you guys about the older lady that called me when I left my card after a showing, and she said, you know, you must be the nice gentleman who actually turned all the lights off and
Did
left.
you
it
say
open."
young gentleman?
Young, yeah, something like that.
Let's just talk about that.
But this has, what I'm telling you has zero to do with me at all, because who doesn't turn all the lights off and respects the property and does what you're supposed to do, right? On that transaction, there was a stucco issue and I ended up, you know, having our contractors go in and address the stucco issue for my buyer at the seller's property pre-closing, right? Spent some time there. She ended up saying, hey, now she was working with a very, very good realtor, from a different company, with a great team. They do a great job. I respect them. But this lady called me and said, I want to refer you to my friend instead of calling her realtor, right? So that's one listing appointment. The other one, the next door neighbor, I'm going to at 2:00 today, $600,000 townhome in Eden Prairie. That's because I was present. I was there. She was shoveling and I was there during the contractors working on the property, and talked to her and showed her respect. And she asked questions about her neighbor's property. So it's just about being present and being aware. That's from the buyer's agent standpoint. So that's two potential listings from just working on the buyer side and being present in the moment, right? Just doing what you're supposed to do, be a good agent. That's why we're here. You're not a Keller because if you wanted to do your own business, go to Remax and you'll do your own business. But that's the way the business model is set up there. Do your own thing. You're
I was like, too soon.
You're here to be better for a reason. So at all times, be aware of that. Just constantly be, you know, the best that you can be on the buyer side as well. And it'll yield some results.
Well, I think to that point is no matter if you're a listing agent or a buyer's agent, you're a real estate agent.
Yeah.
Like, you still can do business on both sides, right? No matter which one is your expertise. That's what we're here for, is to be a real estate agent. Just because you do a certain side or whatnot, doesn't matter, right?
Good. You forget every time you say that, it should say a good real estate agent, a great real estate agent, because we're not here to be realtors. Go somewhere else if you want to be a realtor. If you want to be a good realtor, stay here. I'm serious. That's why we're here. That's why we're in training. Am I right?
Comment here just about going back to the script about calling your sphere. And they were just saying, look at their social media, their Facebook, find a recent event and something that has occurred. And that's certainly a way to start a conversation.
Oh, yeah. Talking on Facebook and Instagram are amazing.
I love doing that.
Except for it's really weird when you haven't met the person and you see them in a public place and you're like,
No, it's not. You say, hey, are you blank?
oh no, it's been weird when people have said stuff
do
to
that.
me. They're like, oh, you were on to no. All right, on to these. Any other questions on listings? Because it's almost noon. It is noon. Any other comments, questions on that piece? This was leading up to next week's meeting in Otsego. It's actually a listing script off. Rick is actually going to be there as one of the people that's going to be doing scripts, listing objections. I think there's about 6 top listing agents from the 5 market centers. So if you had questions around pricing, I don't know if it's the right time, how to get listings, and some different market data on that. Next week, it'll be in Otsego. All 5 market centers will be there. Jake will also be leading that up, and then I'll be leading up the scripting portion of it with the other agents. So it'd be nice for you guys to show up there as well. There will also be scripts that will be given out at that meeting. They'll be emailed to you as well as there'll be some actually there in a packet. Any questions about that? Awesome. What do we got for wants and needs? Anything? Any new listings? Any buyer needs? What do we got?
There is a house in Deep Haven, but it's more likely a lot up Northolm. So if anyone has a builder or a serious remodel, be a major remodel, but more likely just a tear down. One of those like 0.12, yeah.
Okay. What else?
I have property, Wayzata address. It's a multi-bedroom, 4-bedroom, 3-bath, home for $650. Rick was in it yesterday, may not be the right for his client. So if you have anyone looking out there, let me know. We'd love to get it sold before going on the market. That they want to close mid-June. If you have a buyer that can close mid-June.
So that's a walkout Rambler, 4-bed, 3-bath, which is nice. And it's on a pretty private lot. It's an incredible location in Minnetonka schools. Private lot. It's set back like 50 feet from the road, and then it backs up to trees and nature. So it's a cool property. It's not huge. It's like 3,200 finished. So it's not a real big house, but it's a good value. It's a good one. $650.
Thanks, Rick.
It's a good rental too. By the way, bucket fill for Derek. I asked him how much you could rent that house for because my clients may not live there for an extended period of time. Just live there for a few months and then convert it into a rental. And Derek knew exactly because he owns a bunch of them in Minnetonka. So that was tremendously helpful. And we ran the numbers that actually, so that one you could rent it and you will, what do you call that when you make money every month? Well, cash flow.
What is, don't you have rental?
I did. Well, yeah, not here.
Anyway,
Spend it all now.
it's like, what's that called? What else we got for buyer needs and listings?
Thanks, Derek.
All right, well, send them to Lydia and she'll have them out by the end of the day in an email. So buyer needs, rental needs, seller needs, or new listings. And then don't forget, we do have that running spreadsheet as well of any of the coming soon. So if you're looking for open houses, that's a resource to reach out to those listing agents for potential opens. All right, have a good one.
Great.
Great.
Candy is out of town.
Yeah, Candy's gone.
So I take it we aren't gonna have our 10 a.m. thing next week if we're gonna be in Oswego.
You guys come there, I'll just do it in Zoom. And like, you know what I mean? So we'll still have it. I'll just.
So funny, like my dad always.
Angie.
Yep, I'll put it on the.
Did we buy that?
Like my son.
Yeah, so whatever you want to tell it for. I had no idea.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Set in the closet with your trophies.
Like, we all go out.
Just one of many. Take a number, right? People?